Video of the Tesla Cybercab production line has been shared for the first time. If you are a Tesla geek, this is very exciting stuff. Just how radical is Tesla's new unboxed method of manufacturing? What hidden gems of information can we find from these images? And are these seats and mirrors a giveaway to it being manually driven as well? No, it's autonomous. Hello, I'm Will. Welcome to the Tesla Jigsaw. And thankfully with me today is an engineer that can spot the magic in the Cybercab's manufacturing techniques. It's Dave Dewson. Hello, Dave. How you doing?
Hi, Will. Good, thank you.
Good. Right. We'll get into discussing the redesigned version in a little bit and the manufacturing methods, so the unbox process and all that. But let's start with some fun bits, shall we? You know, why is there no steering wheel in it, Dave? Can you have a guess?
It's autonomous, Will. It drives itself.
Right. Weird. It's almost as if it's been designed from the ground up solely to be an autonomous car. That's why it's not going to be offered as a manual driven car. Yeah. Do you think that's about right?
It is. Yeah. There's no wheel. You don't need pedals. You don't need controls. It's a full level 5 autonomous vehicle. It does everything itself. Doesn't need any intervention at all.
Well, that's the plan. So we've also seen mirrors, though, haven't we? Why on the production line of this version, the image that we're looking at now, why does it have mirrors?
That's curious. I'm not really sure why.
Let me answer that for you. It might be a legal requirement. So US law mandates side mirrors for road testing, you see. It could be temporary and will be removed in production once camera systems are approved for that. Because in America, you can't at the moment have a vehicle. Yes, in the US, yeah. Which is weird, isn't it? Because the UK has already been far ahead in this advancement for regulation.
If you remember my project from the last few years, would have, if we'd sent it over there, it would have had to have, as our vehicle had digital mirrors. You just had cameras on the sides and you had screens inside the cab to see what was outside. And they were excellent. Really, really, really good vision. Almost like night vision. It needs far more with digital mirrors than you can with analog ones.
That's interesting. And we do have a lot of cars in the UK that already have it. The Honda E, the Audi e-trons, and lots of lorries nowadays have it. But anyway, enough of lorries and the UK stuff. Let's, for a start, turn the phone off because it's bleeping at me. So professional. Right. And so that takes care of the mirrors. Why it's got mirrors, it won't have mirrors in the end. Okay. But let's move on to the seats as well. There's been some, screams of joy that the seats look as if they might be able to be positioned forward, almost as if you could climb into the back seats. However, as this video shows from my London visit when I first met the Cybercab, the seats were originally built into the prototype versions, as in just built in solidly, weren't they? But I always assumed that when this comes to be built as a production car, it would have adjustments for the rear seat, because otherwise, if you want to get onto a plane or go for a kip or something, you want to be able to recline your seat, don't you? So I'm not at all thinking that this is anything to do with providing extra space in the back. There's not going to be any room behind the seats anyway, apart from, I would assume, just to be adjustable. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's just a recliner, isn't it? It's to make it to give you the passenger maximum comfort. Not everybody is the same size and shape. Some people like to be a bit more reclined. Like you say, if you want to have a sleep, you want to better lie down a bit. And I actually think the position they're in when we see them in the manufacturing video is probably to do with how they get them into the vehicle. And we don't know yet whether we suspect it's like Model Y and it's they come in from underneath on top of the battery. Maybe they need to be upright to clear something as you're bringing the battery pack up through the bottom.
Let's talk about the redesigned version then. So this is a picture that Nick Cruz-Patain shared a little while ago. This shows the original prototype at the bottom in October 2024, and then the new, slightly redesigned version in November 2025. So what leaps out to you particularly here?
It's definitely, so the gaps look bigger, which is quite possibly something that will close down. So if you look at, I can't believe it's Tesla and we're talking about panel gaps, Will, but there you go. Panel gaps have made a return. Look at it. But if you imagine how the automation of this is, you're bringing large sections of the vehicle together into to make a complete vehicle. You're not fitting a side panel and getting it in the right place, and you're trying to bring large lumps of vehicle in all at the same time into one place to get into this sub 10-second production system. So that's a big gap on the between the tailgate and the hatch gate, and the side, the rear quarter. Um, everything else is very similar. I mean, it's more, the tires aren't painted gold.
Yeah, that's it. I've noticed that Ken seems to.
So this is like this to me is more, the thing will round off and it will get, the shape will change slightly as they because they're refining it to be able to produce it at scale. Whereas the first version was, they were probably 20 or 30 prototype, hand built prototypes. It's the first sort of hit of putting a vehicle together. I mean, they had lots of them at the Cyber event, didn't they? At the
20, I believe, or more.
The We Robot events, they had lots of them, and they were working prototypes because they all drove themselves, and they spent all night driving people around. So that was good. But then, because production is slightly different, and you're going to have to start thinking about crashworthiness and pedestrian protection and all kinds of stuff that happens to vehicles before you put them on the road. So I think that's probably a lot of what we're seeing, is making it easier to put together so that it fits this automated assembly process that we're looking at. And also, changes like the doors and things like that.
Yeah, well, let's get to the doors in a second. Let's just take a quick look at the front end. So I think the front does look a little bit more butcher and a little bit more reminiscent of a Model Y now as well, with a bit of a deeper splitter at the bottom there. But this is all spotted at a Tesla, at a In-N-Out Burger drive-through, which is quite fun because this seems to be a bit more of a tradition now for the Tesla team. Once they've got a production-ready vehicle, they go to In-N-Out Burger, and this was in the Cybertruck's case. It was 6 months before production started, so so that's why we're looking at this new version here with a couple of Stigs inside for some helmets on. So
I spotted in this photo that there's a Model Y behind, which is definitely an engineering vehicle because the towing eye cover is missing. And and you see this whenever you go and look at vehicles in engineering places, they've nearly always got the towing eye cover missing because they're left for quite periods of time. The batteries go flat, like the 12-volt battery goes flat, and you have to jump start them or tow them somewhere.
It's embarrassing.
So don't bother with the cover anymore. So I think that's definitely an engineering vehicle behind it. There you go.
And there we go. Here's the new door design. Then originally this was a framed window, wasn't it? And a frame on the door, but now it's frameless, which looks a lot sleeker and nicer. I would have thought this would cause more engineering problems, wouldn't it? When you mind you, you're not manually closing these doors; they're always done automatically, aren't they?
They're all automated, aren't they? I mean, it's more. It's more. I don't think Tesla have ever made a car with framed doors. Is that true? I don't think they have. I don't think they've ever made a car with frame. They're all frameless doors. The
back of the Model X. The rear doors,
Model X, definitely,
sort of have a frame, don't they? But they're not normal. In fact, let me bring up this. This is something that I noted from the wonderful Joe Tegmeyer. This image helps explain the redesign of the B-pillar, quarter window, camera relocation, and door design of the Cybercab. Also note, this likely also supports the use of frameless door glass. Yeah. So as you can see here, the section of the door is much wider now, and so you can see the frame just in this picture here. So what's changed from the previous design then?
It's a little bit bigger, isn't it? It's a slightly deeper section.
Yeah.
The seal itself. See, this is the new one, isn't it? Or is this the original one?
This is the new one. Oh,
so if you look at the seal, see where the yellow arrows are.
Yeah.
You look at the actual rubber seal around the edge there. That looks like a frameless door seal, because
yes, it does.
You tend to have an inner piece and then an outer piece, and the glass sits against both pieces.
So the original had a framed design, which I'm showing you now on screen. Does this have any engineering issues by making it a frameless window, or is this relatively easy to do?
Frameless doors are a bit harder, but they're also they can be lighter because of the design of this door and the fact that it's a tilting up door. It's like a butterfly doors. Okay, yeah.
So
the structure of the door needs to be quite tough because of the fact that it's hinging upwards and outwards at the same time. So, but they've obviously realised that they don't need to do that. So they've gone for this slimmer design, which is it's probably slightly easier to manufacture because it's not got that big structure around the outside of the door that's got a. If you think of doors, they're really hard work because they have to fit in this hole in the chassis and of the main body, and they have to line up, and then they have to seal wall. You can't have water coming in and all that sort of stuff. So so doors are quite frameless doors are always I think frameless doors have been a bit of a Tesla thing for forever. I mean, they can be a pain in the winter and stuff because they get stuck. They get frosted up, don't they? That's why preheat's so good on EVs, because you just turn the preheater on 10 minutes before and it's all defrosted by you get to it. So,
well, hopefully Cybercabs won't be able to stop still long enough to be frozen over. They'll just be constantly moving.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. They'll just come in for a quick hoover up and a bit of a charge and be straight up back out the road, don't they? Get out there, do some work. Yeah, because
if you're new here, there is a full sort of cleaning system in operation that Tesla plans to have. I guess at the same places they'll be charging inductively, where they'll be cleaned thoroughly with in and out with robots, and possibly even with Optimus's help one day. But this system that I'm showing now on screen would seem to take care of all of the cleaning. But just going back to the door for a second, then. So this new section of the door that we were just looking at, and let me just bring it up.
So one big difference with this door is that you don't need two seals. If you think about a door with a frame, you have to have a seal for the glass inside the door, and then you have to have a seal for the door into the body of the car. So you've got two sets of seals, whereas with a frameless door, you only have one. It looks like two seals, but it's actually one piece that is just fitted straight in. So you're not having to seal two separate pieces. You've got one piece to seal straight into the body.
I'm still amazed, actually, that Tesla went for this approach with these doors, because it seems so extravagant, doesn't it? But it really does look. This is the part that's going to make this look so futuristic and cool. Is the doors when they just open up? Everyone's going to be like, "Wow, what is that?" I'm so glad they're sticking with this design. If you look down at a Cybercab from an aerial view with the doors open, they don't actually protrude any more than they do from a normal door with the doors flung fully wide open. Yet at the time, there was a bit of an obsession with saying, well, these were never going to work. You can't park them anywhere, blah, blah, blah. But obviously, because they're taxis, they're not particularly going to be parking themselves in little spaces, are they? They're going to be out there picking people up from the road in certain locations, I suppose. So is the door design an issue at all in your eyes?
I don't think so, no, because most of it is going to be, if you imagine it comes to pick you up outside a hotel, outside, it's picking you up outside a door. It's street side parking, isn't it? So it's not going into a parking space and then waiting there while somebody squeezes down the side of two other cars. It's designed to turn up and park right where you are, and the door opens into the street. It's less than a door. If you think of a door that opens out into traffic, it's not going to be a door that's sticking out in traffic like that. We won't stick out anywhere near as far as that. It's going up rather than out.
It's interesting.
It's actually better if you. I dare say, like the Model 3 doors, the new Model 3, the doors won't open into, if there's something there, they won't open anyway automatically. The doors won't open.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, you go to press the button, it goes bleep, bleep, bleep if there's something coming. Yeah, that cyclist, I've just remembered that. Something else I've just remembered as well. I saw a clip the other day of someone in the back of a Robotaxi being driven around, and they went to operate the rear windows, and they would only come down just a little bit. It stopped and didn't provide full access out of the window. I wonder whether that's going to be something true of the Cybercab.
Oh, I suspect so, because apparently it was to do with some people were coming in with very active animals, and they were trying to jump out the windows, so they restricted the window height to stop them being able to.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's not just designing a vehicle to do vehicle things. It's designing it so that people can't do daft things in it as well. so restricting.
Good luck with that. Stop humanity doing daft things anyway.
They'll try and do something daft.
Yeah.
So apparently there were some active animals that were trying to leap out through the windows when the windows were open. So they had to restrict the opening height of the window.
Yeah. This is another interesting point that people won't consider, and due to me just being really annoying, I'm just allergic to most animals, cats and dogs and whatever. If I was to hop into a Robotaxi or Cybercab, and there's been a dog or a cat in there, and I'm about to embark on a 2-hour journey, and it's not been cleaned since that dog's been in there. It'd be a flipping nightmare for anyone who's allergic to them. Maybe you can have some sort of dispenser for Claritin just in
or dispenser for, or you'll have pet-free cabs that you can tick a box.
Maybe, yes, yeah. Because I do, I have to ask for blooming, pet-free rooms at hotels and stuff. It's really annoying, and it's like feathers and stuff. I remember, I was getting tested for all these things years ago, and they said, "Oh, you're actually allergic to ducks the most," and I'm like, "I don't go anywhere near ducks, so that's not a problem." And they're like, "Yeah, but feather pillows." I was like, "Oh, damn it, yeah,
you have to pillows
flipping everywhere." Anyway, we've digressed.
Digression,
as always. Where were we? So let's get to the unboxed process then. So this is Tesla's old version of the unboxed process. I say old version. This was shared absolutely years ago at AI Day, was it? Yeah. I don't know, 4 years ago, something?
Ages ago.
So a totally different manufacturing technique where you build all these components individually, possibly by robots, and then you bring them all together in one big foul swoop, and then you insert the seats up into the car, roof on the side, and voila. But this was never intended to be a vehicle production line for Model Y. It was intended just to showcase the how a Cybercab was going to be built. So now we have just become privy to this, which is the Cybercab's production line currently. So feel free if you want to tell me where to pause, and we'll talk about anything that you wish, Dave, because I know this is an engineer's dream.
If we look at the left side of this image, you can see there's a brake disc just between the two between the two red bits of the robot.
Yeah, okay.
There's a brake disc, and this aluminium part that's behind it on the car side of it, on the Cybercab side of it, that clearly looks like a different part to me. So I think there's been some. You can see it on the other side as well. I'm pretty sure there's been some costing down done on the front suspension of Cybercab. We're not talking about putting down 600 horsepower on the floor here. We're talking about a comfortable, gentle riding vehicle that's wafting you along in style, and you don't need multi-link suspensions to achieve this. So they've literally, I'm pretty sure they've costed down the suspension and gone for something that's called a McPherson strut, which has vastly less parts. It can still be comfortable, but it's not as good at putting torque on the floor as a multi-link suspension is, which is more traditional with the Tesla. So they've really gone to town on. There's a few other clips a bit later on that show the spring itself on the top, which is looks very spindly. I call it spindly, but it looks very soft, which again would suggest a very comfortable ride, because you don't need to. You're not hurtling around corners at pulling 2G or something. There you go. The front there. You can see.
Yeah.
So you can clearly see the front casting above the wheel, where the brake disc is, and there's quite a large open coiled spring that's looks like a thin diameter. So that's going to be nice and soft, and it doesn't look like there's an upper wishbone. It's hard to see, but it doesn't look like there's an upper wishbone. So this is definitely a simplified front suspension that, from a ride perspective, it will feel no different. The main reason for doing it, there's a couple of reasons. If you want to put a lot of torque on the floor, a lot of power down on the floor, you need the twin wishbones to hold the wheel in the right place. Otherwise, the wheel, when you're trying to put torque down, the wheel moves and flexes, and you end up with the geometry goes all over the place, and it doesn't feel very good. Whereas this won't be doing that. It's not four-wheel drive. We think it's pretty much rear-wheel drive because of that large diameter rear wheel. So they don't need that stuff. They're going to dispense with it. The other thing is that double wishbone systems tend to give you a lower bonnet line, so you can actually shrink the suspension package is smaller, so you can get more in with a double wishbone setup and have a lower bonnet angle. So cars like the Model 3 and the Model S have this low front, but Cybercab, I don't think, needs that. So they've gone for a simplified suspension.
Yeah, makes sense. And again, this just rings true, doesn't it? For the obvious point that this car will not be manually driven ever, because all of its components within are designed for autonomous slow driving. And if people are going to drive this thing, they'll be driving it far quicker. They'll be putting more pressure on it. They'll be putting more torque down. The brakes will be, not as adequate as they need to be. Whereas this is limited. This could easily be limited to 65, 70 mile an hour and have no reason at all to go above 70.
So single wishbone suspensions are typically used on budget cars. But there's lots of them out there. This system it's typically used on budget cars where you're trying to get costs down. So absolutely use it. If you're not trying to put big power on the floor, you can get away with this, no problem at all.
Yeah, but this is an image of inside the vehicle. You've got a very large screen here as well. If this did have a steering wheel in front, there's not enough width in the car to have a steering wheel with this great big screen in the way. So again, just another point of evidence that this will not be coming with the steering wheel for a production manually driven vehicle.
No,
in my humble opinion. I'd love to be proved wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be.
Hey, you could put a smaller screen in, but I mean, that's
so smaller screen, upgrade most of the components. It would have a real effect on range if people are just driving it normally, i.e. not super efficiently. So you wouldn't be getting anywhere near the 250 miles projected. You'd be getting a lot less. I just don't see it in any way.
You let the human drive, Will. It's a bad idea. Don't let the humans drive.
Yes. Seems so.
So there was another point in one of these clips where it shows the steering assembly. Okay, so we're all focused on this bit at the top here, aren't we? The big dashboard assembly coming in. It's a funny angle, but there are definitely no holes for steering coming through on that there. So typically you have to have a mechanical connection. Okay, it could be steer by wire, but you need a mechanical connection between the steering wheel and the steering column down onto the steering rack itself to steer to operate to turn the wheels. So in the distance you can see there is the rest of the chassis system, and it's got the front suspension, and actually in the middle of that you can just about make out the steering rack itself, and it's got no mechanical connections on the top of it. And I think it's a double motor steer system as well. We talked about this ages ago. Grok was speculating that they were cheating in the UK, and it wasn't the standard Model 3. It was one with a dual drive system on it. On the steering. Looks like this might be a dual drive steering rack, and they've probably done it for safety because there is no wheel to grab hold of. So you've got multiple redundant system in the steering, but definitely no connection for a steering column.
I was going to say they have fitted the steering wheel into some of these.
If it's steer by wire with an encoder on the back of it, you just need a wheel. It's literally it's like the Cybertruck one. It's a wheel fitted to the dash, but it doesn't actually need to physically connect to anything.
You could technically put it in the rear seat. Oh, there's no rear seat. You know what I mean?
You literally you can sit on the roof with it, and as long as you got the wheel, you could just sit on the roof and drive. So I suspect that they've got this. I actually think that they will have a way of driving, because you can imagine it's a nightmare. This thing's it comes off the end of the production line. It doesn't work for some reason. You need to move it. I bet they've got a connector somewhere that you just plug in it plugs in a bit of a pedal box. You just stick a thing down in the floor and a bit of a steering wheel that clips on somewhere, and you can drive the thing with a wheel. It's drive by wire. It doesn't need a steering column.
Yeah. Fascinating. It's amazing, isn't it?
Imagine the logistics of moving these things around when they're not quite 100%. Something wrong with one camera on it and it won't self-drive. How are you going to get it out of the way? It's like these are things that happen in factories. You need to be able to move these things around in some way, and you can't just lift them and move them, or unless you've got maybe you have 4 Optimus robots and you just get one on each corner and lift it up.
Well, there's all sorts of solutions to that. I mean, we've seen in a very early clip someone maneuvering Cybercabs into place. So I did ask that question when I went to London. It's like, how did you get it in here? They wouldn't tell me. Obviously, someone's got control of it somewhere, remote controls. There's certainly no steering wheel in it. But you've also got, there's those things in China that move people's cars. They just come and clamp them if you park somewhere, lift them up. They go around the wheels and then lift the cars up, don't they? Move the car.
These little trolleys that go underneath, aren't they?
Yeah, it's fascinating. So there's all sorts of solutions to being able to move it. Someone did mention this as well in the comments of one of my videos about in an emergency, if one's had a crash or whatever. But again, there could either be something on screen, or the emergency response units would have a Tesla app on their phone that they could link to it in an emergency or something to be able to maneuver it.
They'll lift them, won't they? They'll have frames that they stick under them and lift them, and there'll be various ways of doing it. But you won't. I mean, so cars that have been in a big crash, you can't move them anyway. They're not. They're not.
No.
If they've been in a big enough crash to deploy an airbag, it's quite hard to move vehicles that have had an airbag, because they, when the airbag deploys, it tends to also shut down all the vehicle's electronics and everything else. It literally shuts the vehicle down. We're not, because we're talking about cars with electronic handbrakes and you know, they've got electronic park brakes. They're not have, you know, manual pulley lever things anymore. These cars are difficult to recover, and they're difficult to move around because that's where we've gone with these things.
Yeah, it's another conversation I want to have with you, because we did have a brief chat when you came around about the electronic opening doors and the slight confusion over which is safer, with a manually controlled door or or electrically one. But let's leave that for another video. But I definitely want to talk to you about that, because I think there's a lot of confusion. But obviously, if you are in an accident and it's a serious accident, your doors will be jammed shut anyway if you're trapped. That's a part of it. But also, if you are in a crash, then those electronic doors can unlock before there's a crash, even or after a crash. So there's sort of pros and cons to both ways there, isn't there? But let's save that for another day.
The unbox process for me is the thing with this. It's probably the dullest thing for most people, but you look at the unbox process and now we know what cycle times they're aiming for. Sub 10 seconds. A car every 10 seconds is unbelievable in the automotive industry. Literally unbelievable. A fast process is typically 60 seconds. So you get a vehicle every 60 seconds off the production line. If you're talking sub 10 seconds, there's a lot has got to change in order to achieve that. You just can't do it the old way and get down to 10 seconds. And your poor guy, your guys on the track, because this is mostly automation, and that's what they're designing a vehicle to be put together with automation. Robots work really hard constantly all the time. Humans get tired, they get fatigued, they have to stop, they have to have breaks. So you to get under 10 seconds is a lot of that. It's insane how quickly this thing will come together. A typical production line has this flow of process where, and Elon talks about this, where he talks about the slowest stage in your production line is the thing that governs the entire speed of the track. So you've got hundreds of processes, operations going on down your production line, and the slowest one is the one that governs the speed of how many can come off at the end of the track. And this is why they talk about production ramps. When they're ramping production, you're trying to get all these separate, there's hundreds and hundreds of operations to put a vehicle together. Each one has to happen within a certain time, and that dictates how quickly these things can come off the track at the end. If you get a delay in one separate process, the whole thing stops and you get nothing. So your production line stops, and the dollar counter starts when the production line stops, and it costs hundreds of thousands of pounds a minute just to stop a production line. So you don't want to stop. And also your guys, if you've got production guys on these things, they don't like stopping. They don't like to stop. They want to work continuously. They don't like stop-start production lines. If the thing keeps dragging and stopping, they don't get into a flow of doing their work. Obviously, most of this is going to be automated. Tesla are talking about automation with this, and it looks like they've got a lot of automation, and they've designed it specifically for automation. But the big key for me with the Unboxed process is that they are typically car production lines have doors assembled separately, so the doors will be built somewhere else in the factory completely. The vehicle's body will be assembled. It's a body in white, it's called. It's like it's dipped and ready to have things bolted to it. And then as you go down the production line, various bits and parts are all delivered just in time to the track side to be assembled into the vehicle. Doors tend to be, so you'll have doors of different colors for the cars, because they don't build a batch of red ones and a batch of blue ones. They build all of them together. But the red doors have to meet up with the red body at the same time as they all come together in the production line. But these processes it takes effort to coordinate them, and to keep the speed up. You're having to. So typically you're talking a minute plus for
Well, I might be wrong here, but is it true that during the process of the body in white stage, they put the doors on, they spray the entire thing, and then they take the doors off?
And then they
in order to fill the inside, and then they have to put them back on again.
So they got all the trims and the electronics and the glass. All that has to go in, and then the door. So then it does. They take them all. They paint them all in one thing, and then they all come off, and then they all come back together again at the end of the
Yeah. Well, if my memory serves me correctly, then the entire production line of the Cybercab is going to be, without human operators being anywhere near them, because they're just moving too fast and it'd be too dangerous. And Elon has suggested that it'd be more like a consumer production line, of like an electronics production line, where things are happening far faster than usual. But also, yes, they're aiming at 10 seconds right now as they're aiming up for production. But he has also said that they're aiming at 5 million production in the future per year, and that would be at a run rate of every 5 seconds. A Cybercab would be running off the line. That's in theoretically, as Elon sees it, part of the future for Cybercab production every 5 seconds. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
It's extraordinary. I've been around automotive lines for 35 years. Well, I've never seen anything run that quick. It's unbelievable how quick this stuff goes. And if they succeed in this, it's absolutely industry first. I've never seen or heard of it anywhere near that fast anywhere. I did have some involvement with surface mount assembly production lines for circuit boards and things, and they are very fast. If you watch have you ever seen a pick and place machine putting chips down on a circuit board, putting the components down on the board? It's literally the board comes in and the thing's
oh yeah.
And it's like board out, next board in, and it's so fast, fast.
Yeah, it's been weird to see, isn't it? And of course, they'll be leaving the factory autonomously driving themselves, as Model Ys already do around the world. They are assembled and they leave the factory and they are driving off the production line, which is extraordinary. But finally, one of the most exciting things I thought was shared was this. So what we can expect is the Cybercab to start mass production in just 5 months from now. But here's one of the most extraordinary things for people to understand. The Cybercab embodies every single component within needed for the Optimus humanoid robot. There's the batteries, there's the computer, there's the cameras, as they make their way swiftly into humanoid form. Just astonishing. We've known this is true for some time, but of course the commonalities of parts from Tesla, they're all sharing these core technologies, aren't they? They're built from the same things. And I just don't think this lands with many people as well. The full self-driving technology is full self-walking technology in an Optimus. Its capabilities, its everything within it. What do you think when you see this?
This is Tesla all over. Their level of vertical integration is just exceptional. The fact that they make all these things themselves. They're all anything that they've had anything that might be at risk of being a problem for production, even down to manufacturing their own silicon is now something that's on the cards. They literally make their own actuators because nobody else makes them. They've been doing this for years with vehicles. The vehicles are literally going from a rolling robot to a walking robot. It's the same stuff inside, and it is epic. It really is. I can't think of anybody else who could do this. I honestly can't think of anybody. Well, can you?
No. That's the point. And now Tesla are talking about making their own chip fab.
Yeah. Because they worried about silicon. They worried about VW have just stopped their production lines, haven't they? Because they can't get silicon. Yeah, they are building a singular robust company that cannot be stopped. And because this happened in the early days with cells, they were very worried about getting cells to put in the original Roadster, and so they made their own cells and they set up their own production, and they were buying cells. They set up shadow companies to buy cells so that they could keep and nobody caught on what they were trying to do. Yeah, but here we're seeing 4680 batteries that are currently in all Cybertrucks. They will be in all Cybercabs and in Optimus robots as well. So without Tesla's development of the 4680 batteries and getting other battery manufacturers to produce them at scale too for them, and actually just everything. The AI 5 chip is specifically for Optimus. I'm pretty sure we're there with vehicle autonomy with AI 4. and we're not going to need the 5 in vehicles. It's there because you think of the number of actuators that you've got in an Optimus hand compared to a vehicle. The vehicle is steering and accelerator and brake, and that's it. It's got hands and arms and head, and everything moves, and the hands are what are they now? I forget how many depths of freedom they are, but they are.
Oh, it was 22 degrees of freedom. Now it's even more, I think. Yeah, it looks
something, is it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Amazing technology. The hand is by far the most complex part of it, and it's I can't wait to say that coming into production, because that's the next episode of Tesla production, isn't it? When they build up on the scale.
Well, this is all just so exciting, and clearly me and you can talk about this for hours, because that's
when's the pre-order coming, Will?
When's the pre-order? Yeah. Oh, that's another subject. Who knows? Let's leave it there now. For now, Dave, thanks so much for joining me. Everybody, please do go and visit Dave on X. He's at EV Smiles on X, at EV Smiles or EVS Miles, depends how you want to say it. But thanks for being here, mate. Really appreciate your insight into the engineering aspects of the Cybercab, and look forward to speaking to you again. Thank you very much. Please give me a like and subscribe before you leave, and don't forget to head on over to Patreon, where you can join me for extra chats like this and loads of other benefits as well. Thank you so much. I'm Will. This is the Tesla Jigsaw. Thank you, patrons. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.